All right, let's dive into the two big ways machines actually learn. Think of it like a tale of two completely different minds. And it all starts with a question I'm pretty sure you've asked yourself.
Right? We've all been there, staring at the screen wondering how it knows. And the answer? Well, it's not magic. It's machine learning. But here's the thing. It's not just one single trick. It's more like a story of two totally different personalities running the show.
So to really get a grip on this, let's use a little analogy. Let's imagine machine learning has these two main learning styles. On one hand, you've got the tutor, super methodical, always teaching from a perfect answer key. And on the other hand, you've got the detective, super curious, whose job is to find clues in just a massive mountain of raw evidence. Okay, so first up, let's talk about the tutor. Now, in the real world of machine learning, this is what we call supervised learning. And its whole deal, it's all about learning from examples that are already labeled and known. So here's the absolute key. The machine gets a data set where all the answers are already there. Seriously, think of it like a massive stack of flashcards. Question on the front, answer on the back. The machine makes a guess, flips the card to check the answer, and just slowly learns by correcting its own mistakes, over and over and over again. Yeah, the whole process is super structured. It's pretty much exactly like studying for a big exam, right? You get your study materials and you have the answer key, you practice, then you take a practice test to see where you stand, and then you're finally ready for the real deal. And our tutor here is perfect for two main kinds of jobs. First, there's classification. That's basically just sorting things into buckets. Is this email spam or not spam? Simple. The second one is called regression, which sounds fancy, but it's really just about predicting a specific number, like, say, guessing the price of a house based on how big it is or where it's located. Okay, but what happens when you don't have an answer key? What if there are no flashcards? Well, that's where our detective comes into play. This is what we call unsupervised learning, and believe me, it is a whole different ballgame. So imagine this. The detective gets this messy, totally unlabeled box of data, and its only instruction is, find the patterns. That's it. There are no right answers given. No hints. Its entire job is just to dig through all that data and find interesting connections and structures completely on its own. So what's a data detective good at? Well, for one, it's great at clustering. That's just grouping similar things together. It's also awesome at finding associations, figuring out that people who buy bread also tend to buy milk. And it simplifies really complex data using a technique called dimensionality reduction. That's a mouthful, but just think of it as finding the 10 most important clues in a case file that has like 1,000 pieces of evidence. All right, so now let's put our tutor and our detective head to head, because when you see them side by side, it becomes crystal clear just how different they really are. Look, if you remember only one thing from all of this, let it be this right here. The tutor, our supervised learner, requires labeled data. It needs that answer key. The detective, the unsupervised one, works with unlabeled data. It loves the mystery. And honestly, this one single difference changes absolutely everything that follows. And this chart really lays it all out. That core difference in data, it ripples through everything. Just look at the goals. The tutor's goal is to predict something specific, while the detective is all about discovering patterns. Or feedback. The tutor gets direct feedback. Yep, you got it right, or nope, try again. The detective gets nothing, no feedback at all. And that even changes our role in the process. With the tutor, we do the work up front by labeling the data. With the detective, our job is to come in at the end and make sense of the patterns it found.
Okay, so this all sounds a bit abstract, right? Where do we actually see the tutor and the detective in our lives? Well, the truth is, they're all around you, every single day.
Think about your email. Every single time a junk email lands in your spam folder instead of your inbox, that's the tutor. That's supervised learning. The system was trained on literally millions of emails that people like you and me had already marked as spam or not spam. It learned from those labels to tell the difference.
Now for the detective. A company might take all of its sales data, just a huge raw list of purchases, and give it to an unsupervised model. It doesn't tell the machine, hey, find me some college students. Nope, the machine just looks for patterns and discovers groups on its own. It might find a cluster of late-night snack buyers or weekend DIYers that the company never even knew existed. Here's a really high-stakes job for the tutor: self-driving cars. These systems are trained on enormous libraries of images that have been painstakingly labeled. I mean, humans have gone through and drawn boxes around every pedestrian, stop sign, and other car to teach the model how to make accurate and, frankly, life-or-death predictions out on the road.
And this brings us right back to our original question: how does that streaming service know what you want to watch next? Well, that's our detective. That's unsupervised learning. It looks at your viewing habits and it groups you, it clusters you with thousands of other people who have similar tastes. The crazy part is, it doesn't know why you all like the same stuff. It just knows that people in your little taste cluster also really liked this other movie, so it suggested to you. Okay, so this is all great, but let's get practical. If you had a problem you needed to solve with machine learning, how would you know which one to pick? Do you call the tutor or the detective?
Well, the thing is, the choice isn't about which one is just better overall. That's the wrong way to think about it. It's all about which one is the right tool for your specific goal and, crucially, for the kind of data you actually have.
And this really breaks it down to its simplest form. It's like this. If you already know the question and you have examples of the answer, you need the tutor. But if you just have a giant pile of data and you want to figure out what interesting questions you should even be asking in the first place, then you need the detective. It's that simple.
At the end of the day, it's a practical choice. You can think of the tutor, supervised learning, as a scalpel. It's designed for a super precise cut when you know exactly what you're trying to do. The detective, unsupervised learning, is more like a map for exploring uncharted territory. It helps you see the lay of the land.
And that brings us to one last big idea to think about. We are creating an unbelievable amount of data every single day, way more than we could ever possibly hope to label by hand. So, in a world that's just overflowing with raw, unlabeled information, you have to wonder, is the exploratory power of the detective going to become the most important tool we have for making sense of it all?